For more than a decade, FTI has strived to become the leader in the aftermarket performance transmission and converter industry. We've joined forces with McLeod driveline components under the leadership of top fuel funny car pilot Paul Lee, and now have a larger distribution network, more resources, and more power. Come see us in the pits and ask how you can join the FTI family. It's not cheating, it is the competitive edge.
It's Shaun Brown, driver of the Macro Tools Top Fuel Dragster, and yes, I'm a 3-time world champ. But you know what? When I win, I go straight to WFO Radio, baby. I want to see you listening in.
The number one source of friction in your engine is not what you think. Piston rings rubbing against the cylinder walls generate more friction than any other part of the engine. More friction and temperature means more wear and less horsepower. Fortunately, the team at Total Seal knows how to reduce friction and wear through innovative piston ring design. If it takes a piston, Total Seal can build a better ring.
This is WFO Radio.
Hey everybody, WFO Radio is back on the air. Welcome to everyone around the world checking out the show. We appreciate you guys greatly, and we're getting ready for a little NHRA Mission Foods Drag Racing Series action at In-N-Out Burger Pomona Drag Strip. I'm putting on the pounds, just saying the sponsor names. We're going to have ourselves a great time out there this weekend. If you're anywhere near Pomona, you got to come out. You got to be a part of the 2024 NHRA Mission Foods Drag Racing Series season. Race 2. It's going to be great. And on this show, we have got the reigning Pro Stock World Champion. I said Mission Foods enough, right? Pro Stock World Champion Erica Enders. And Erica just won the Gatornationals for the first time in her career. And we're going to talk about the Gators. We're going to look ahead to Pomona. We're going to look at the, the possibility. Maybe some records will be set there this weekend. It is going to be amazing. So if you're a fan of Pro Stock, if you're a fan of Erica, if you're a fan of drag racing, if you're excited about the season, we ask you to share the show, push it out there on your social media. Those of you watching on X, give us a retweet. Let's get it. Is it that a react, a repost? Shoot us out there, and drag racing fans from around the world will be able to connect. We've also got Shaun Umscheid, the What No Way guy. What No Way? You know this guy. He's a big social media influencer. He's been coming out to the NHRA national events and has fallen in love with the sport and is now building his own car to go racing with. And it has been amazing. It is exactly what we always say. Like, come to the track one time and we think you'll probably like it the way we do. And some people do. And every once in a while, one gets away. But this one is building a race car. We're going to talk all about it. He went to Frank Hawley Drag Racing School and learned from Frank and got a super comp license and did that whole deal. And we're going to talk all about it coming up here on the show. I see Erica's down there in the ready room. Before we get to E, I want to tell you about the people who make it possible for me to do what I do. The show doesn't happen without our great sponsors. I'm talking about CWT Industries. This is Balance Machines. Randy Neal, Balance Machine. Super high-tech touch screen, intuitive. It picks you up in terms of quality and speed. Now, I know what you're thinking about on the racetrack, right, Joe? No, I'm talking about in the machine shop. Randy Neal always says it's a moneymaker because it does the job more accurately, but in less time with less, I don't want to say less training. I don't want to oversell it like that, but just working on a touchscreen, telling the machine what to do. A big improvement on previous designs. Go to cwtindustries.com to find out more. You can always email me, joe@wforadio.com. Told you a little bit about Total Seal, told you a little bit about FTI performance transmissions and torque converters. Super excited that these guys are on board. Also, Bernie's Speed Shop up there in Ocala, Florida, 100,000 square feet, frame off restorations. Josh and Brittany Hart doing all kinds of great things for their communities, both in Ocala and in Indiana. Amazing stuff. Go to Bernie's social media, check them out. The folks at Foggett, Gary Stennett's company. Gary invented this, right? He knew it was a problem by the engines he was tearing apart. They needed to be preserved, maybe at the cost of work for himself, right? No more rebuilds, or maybe a little less often is the goal, honestly. But a product that's available in Summit, a product that's available on Amazon Choice, a product that's available at foggit.com. Go to them and check it out. Frank Hawley's Drag Racing, of course, samtech.edu, my great friend Marvin Rodax, coffeeandgrills.com, and the fine folks at phillips-connect.com, smart trailer technology. All right, fans of Pro Stock, here she comes. The sixth time, and it occurs to me, I don't think we did your like champion interview. So we're going to wrap them all into one. Erica Enders joins us now. What's up, E? How are you?
Hey, Joe. I'm good. How are you?
I'm great. I'm excited to be racing again. That winter break was a little long. The Gatornationals as the first race was just a killer. And now the season, begins in Pomona.
Yep, here we go. I felt a little opposite of you. I felt like the off season was short. I feel like because we were working so hard here at the shop and testing, and then the Pro Superstar Shootout, of course, and then headed to Gainesville. So yeah, awesome. Finally got the gator off of my back in Gainesville a couple of weeks ago. Spent the last 21 years trying to win that event, and we finally got it done. So we're off to a great start this season, not just for our car, for our entire Elite Motorsports, Elite Performance 9-car team. So we're ready to roll. The guys left early yesterday morning, and they're about to California now. So we're ready.
Everybody chiming in out there in the chat section, just saying good morning, champ, and good afternoon, and congrats to Erica, and Art loves this show, and this guy wants to move Pomona back to the first race of the season. I don't know. What difference does it make?
Well, I mean, it was that way for years, so I guess it was a tradition to start and end in Pomona. But after COVID and the way the California government rolls, we weren't allowed to race there. So I think we just stuck to this. On the business side of things, it definitely saves us money because we start on the East Coast and then we go west. We don't have to crisscross the country going from Pomona, Phoenix, Gainesville, back to Vegas. Now we're Gainesville, Pomona, Phoenix, Vegas, and then back to the East Coast. So we're able to leave our rigs out there, and I hate to be the buster that brings up the business side of it, but it definitely saves us funds.
Well, that's it. That's exactly what we're talking about. We got to save the teams money. We got to make the teams a little more money. And then at some point, look, it's never going to be, in my opinion, maybe I'm wrong, but like, I'm going to get rich being a drag racing team owner, right? I'm going to start out with a little, and I'm going to get in there. I'm going to race, and I'm going to beat everybody, and I'm going to become a multi-millionaire. I'm going to be wealthy and be on a yacht because of my competitive drag racing. I mean, it happened for Force, but and Snake, I guess. But that's rare. But the numbers got to match a little bit better. And if they can save you some money by starting off the season in Gainesville, and also I think it makes it easier on the Pomona fan base. They were just at the track in Force for the finals not long ago. And then they had Christmas and the holidays, and they were buying all these gifts, and then we go right back to them. I don't know. I think it's better to give them a little bit of a breather.
I think so too. I kind of like the way it rolls. Obviously, we do whatever we're told, but yeah. Back to your comment about being a millionaire in drag racing, you better start out being a billionaire, and then you'll get to be a millionaire very quickly because you spend all your money. But no, we all love it. Otherwise, we wouldn't do it. So
that's the saying. How do you make a small fortune in drag racing? You start with a big one.
Yes, exactly.
That's it. All right. So getting the gator off your back. I want to talk about you round by round. I want to talk about a bunch of stuff. You got a new line of safety equipment with Stroud. Let's start there, because this is something that I believe you and I have been talking about off and on for a few years, like under the, the title of expanding Erica's brand beyond champion driver to doing other things in the sport. When I saw this yesterday, that the folks of Stroud have partnered with you to design safety equipment, I thought that is a perfect synergy. And that's exactly what Erica should be using her brand for. So tell us about it.
So kind of a little backstory. I met Tommy Cunningham and his wife, Anita, through Racing Pro Mod. They are an Oklahoma City based company. They're just an hour up the road from us. So it makes it really convenient. But they provide all of our seatbelts, window nets, parachutes, and whatnot for our race team here at Elite Motorsports. I'm a Sparco safety equipment driver. Obviously, they make my fire suits and shoes and gloves and things of that nature. But Stroud has been an amazing partner. Love that they're in Oklahoma. Love that they're made in the USA. I got to go meet their team there. They have a whole bunch of ladies from south of the border that run that whole place. They are the seamstresses. Everything is made in house. So it seemed kind of like a natural fit, being that it was just up the road. And I had talked to Tommy just a little bit here and there about this idea that I had, because as everyone knows, I got my start in junior drag racing when I was 8 years old. And my sister and I have tried to stay heavily involved in the Junior Drag Racing League program and do all that we can, like at national events when they make exhibition runs, make sure to go up and watch them. Sometimes we get asked by some of the junior drivers to stage them. And we try to just give back, maybe going to the Eastern and the Western Conference finals when we get an opportunity to. But this was a way for me to, like you said, extend my brand off the racetrack. And I wanted to do something to shine a light on the importance of safety, but make it kind of cool while doing it. And, you know, on the heels of the Disney movie Ride on Track and then Speed Queens that you can watch on Flow, just wanted to kind of put it out there. And, you know, we suffered a season-ending fire in my Pro Mod car. And from that, I said, because I was so mad because of what happened and how hurt I could have been and how fortunate I was and my angels were protecting me. But I wanted to become like the biggest safety advocate, and I got a lot of hate for that, but I want to show kids how important it is. I hate when I go to local tracks and I see guys and gals wearing pajama pants or windbreakers in their cars, and it makes me mad. So I took this opportunity. I wanted to instill this in the younger generation with the junior dragsters, how important safety is. Make it cool, make it custom, and what's really neat about these fire suits is you can pick any colors, obviously have your sponsor logos embroidered and your name and whatnot, but because kids grow so quickly, the gals down at Stroud add a little bit extra fabric so they can let it out as they grow, and you're not having to buy a new fire suit every single year, and it's really cost effective. So anyway, long answer to your question, but I'm super stoked about partnering with Stroud for the Eric Enders fire suits.
You got to do more, right? Like this is just the beginning of the Erica licensing agreements deal. I mean, I don't know how much, I know nothing about the business side of it, but I know that standout athletes in other sports, I think they do a lot of this, and they also make money doing it. So I recommend you do it.
Thank you. Well, that's the idea, to be able to continue making money when I retire. So I can't do it forever, and I want to be involved in the sport that I love. So here's the first step.
Erica Enders, team owner. All right, so let's talk about the Gator on your back, right? The Gatornationals. It's one of the crown jewel races. It's one, you know, that everybody wants to win. It's right at the beginning of the season. The Daytona 500 analogy is there, and some races are just unfriendly to some racers for some reason. And we don't know. Like I call it the racing gods. You know, they decide. The racing gods decide the day that you get to win and it's out of your hands. Look at Ron Capps at the U.S. Nationals, right? And then they decided he gets to win a couple of times. And, you know, whatever the racing gods are, the cosmic forces, the energy, the parts, the pieces, the molecules, we just don't know. You went out there as champion and put it on him. The racing gods said, she's earned it. And it was a very dominant race. You won from the number one qualifying position. You went through Kelly. I want to talk about Kelly in a second. Aaron, Greg, and Christian. But what the experience, just sum it all up, to not have something that you wanted so badly but couldn't have. And now you got it.
Yeah, finally got it. You know, a little backstory on that. Last year at the Gatornationals, and if they watched the coverage, I'm sure they heard, you know, you and Reinhardt and Loans talk about how my car wouldn't start last year. And we qualified number 2 at the Gators last year. TJ Kaufman got us on mile per hour for the number 1 position. So we didn't necessarily have a slow car. But that race, my car not firing, I joke and say I got Control Alt deleted on somebody got their laptop out and blocked me up there. But from that point, we had a 7-race just spiral downfall that was awful and started our season off terribly. But the years prior to that, I lost first round on a hole shot, set the world record against my teammate Bo Butner and lost. He was 002 and I was like 60 something. The year before that, I was like 00 or 10 on the tree, and Magaha was like 60 or 70, and I was out on him, and I got really crossed up, really loose, and had to shove the clutch in to save the car. Lost first round there. So like you go back all these years, and I'm losing first round at the Gatornationals. And when my car didn't start last year, I told my guys when we got back to the pit, I'm like, screw this. Y'all come to Gainesville next year. I'm going to the beach. I'll meet you at the rig, and we'll go to Pomona from there. But all kidding aside, I'm glad that everything worked out. And we always have such a great car, and it's up to me. So Sunday was a little bit challenging. I struggled the first 2 rounds. I was 40. Aaron Stanfield should have busted me second round, no doubt. He was teen on the tree, and I was 40. But I finally got it together when I raced Greg and Christian. I was 20 both of those rounds. But just a really tough day of racing, and so happy for the Quadra family and Christian. He qualified number 2 out there. He's running Frank Iaconio Power, who is a legend of our sport and our class. And he's up there in age, like 70s or 80s, and he's still like building badass pro stock horsepower to qualify at the front of the pack with all these juggernaut teams. So we're excited for that whole deal with the Quadra family. But I struggled because I want Christian to win so badly. And, yes, the selfish side of me wanted to win my first Gatornationals, but I want to be next to Christian when he gets his first win, or Junior or David. Those boys are a true talent and an asset to our sport, and we're lucky to have them here at Elite. But yeah, it was a great day. And, to qualify on the pole and take it all to the winner's circle on Sunday, make it all come together is pretty significant. It doesn't happen often, and to get it done in Gainesville was pretty important. And then to do it with Shaun Langdon and J.R. Todd, who I grew up junior drag racing with, and that was their first double for Coletta, and Connie was there. So how cool was that? And then Gage also grew up junior drag racing, so it was really neat to have 4 junior dragster driver alumni standing up there on the podium.
Yeah, I was definitely rooting for Christian, Erica.
I know, me too.
No, I wasn't. Come on, I don't root for anybody. I was just, but those stories that you mentioned, Christian, the Quadra family, yep. Frank Iaconio especially. I don't know if people, you had to be there for a long time to really understand the fact that Frank Iaconio, he goes back to the very beginning, and he's been consistently running through the entire deal. And if anybody deserves to put one on the board, it's that man right there, Frank Iaconio. He's building power. He's still irrelevant. But your job is to go out there and win the race, not to let somebody win. And they would hate you if you did that. And their time will come. But that was the story. And that's why people got to watch every week, because of great stories like that.
They do, absolutely. And, the right lane was a little bit tricky all day. It pulled really well on the starting line, but out, like when we're pulling second gear, the rubber got really thin and kind of balled out there, and people were having trouble shaking and getting through that shake zone. And it just, unfortunately, it bit Christian. We had lane choice. We took the left lane, and that's just part of it. And I was 20 and he was 70, but Joe, the freaking hate mail that I got after beating Christian was unbelievable. And like the scuttlebutt online about how, they took a dive for her. Anytime Erica's teammates race her, they take a dive. And I'm like, Jesus, Mary and Joseph, these people don't even know. It's the first race of the year. It would have been Christian's first victory. Do you think he went out there and did that on purpose? You're crazy. But just a great day for our entire organization, and have 2 elite cars in the finals. That was pretty badass.
All right. So I've been experimenting in my mind with a strategy about the haters, and you deal with way more than I do. All right. Right. I kind of observe them on other people's social media posts. Like I'll be scrolling through like we all do, and I'll see someone just really spew out something negative. And I'm like, oh my gosh, like that's horrible. Why would you say that? Why would you think that? What's going on in your life? Like, why are you dwelling in that? And then I think, well, I don't know, maybe they got a lot of negativity and it's the only place that they can spout it out. But my point is that I'm going to try to not acknowledge the existence of. I don't know if that would work for you, but it's also, I'm sure they love it hearing you reference it. You know, like it's got to be a little bit of a win for them. Like, yeah, that email that I sent Erica that was so hateful and horrible, she referenced it. She's thinking about me, and that makes my life meaningful, even though it's not. I don't know. I think maybe just like totally, I don't know, it's not realistic, but to totally ignore those folks at all so that they don't exist and they get zero oxygen, I think it could work.
It could. And you're probably right. And my sister tells me the same thing, but I don't know. It just irks me. And it's not the first one or the 100th one. It's like the 3,000th one. And it just is the straw that breaks the camel's back. And I'm just like, like fire back at them. But at the end of the day, like you summed it up perfectly. Like they have to have something sad in their life, like to be that miserable of a person to get online and to take the time to cut down or diminish the accomplishments of someone they have never met in their entire life. It just means that they're miserable, and that sucks. And while you're sitting on your couch being miserable, I'm living my dream. So have fun.
Well, exactly. Consider the source.
Yep.
And it's unfortunate, but everyone needs a place to direct their negative energy, right? And if they do it to their boss, they're probably going to get fired. And if they do it towards their wife and their kids, that's definitely going to go very poorly. And so there's this person out there in the drag racing world. They like drag racing, but why does she get to do this? And you're the target. It's unfortunate. You don't deserve it, but that's probably what's going on. It's a psychological thing. I don't even know how to deal with it other than, and I'm not going to be able to do it either. I'm just like preaching. I'm not going to be able to hold
it. I mean, you have the right idea, and I should definitely take your advice. So I'm on it. I promise.
Let's try. Just starve the oxygen from that whole negative thing. Loans had a great post after the Gatornationals, like, hey, drag racing fans, we should feel a little better about our sport. It's not going anywhere. It's like, don't even address it. The people who love it are having a great time. Maybe the best time that's ever been had out there. Like, look around your life, right? You guys are doing pretty good. You had great success with the pro race. Richard Freeman looks like he's doing pretty well. I'm just saying, your sister's doing pretty well. You're doing pretty well. Your mom seems super happy. The people around you. How about Kelly Murphy? How's he doing in his little drag racing life? He had a pretty good event.
He was so stoked, like for months leading up, because he was supposed to run St. Louis last year. That would have kind of been one of his home tracks, and a lot of the sponsor help that he acquired are kind of from the Indiana, Missouri, all that Midwest area. And the way that it fell with it being in the countdown and some things happening with our engine shop and just focusing on the countdown, Richard and everyone decided, you know what, let's push it to the season opener. That'll give us time to go testing, get your license. And, Kelly's worked for us for a while. He came to us as an intern from UNOH, who is a former marketing partner of ours. And I lobbied for him because I saw something in Kelly that, like, you don't typically see in a young 20-something-year-old kid, that they love pro stock. Like, usually 20-year-old kids are like stuck in their phone and they're playing video games, or they like Top Fuel because they shoot fire and explode. But he loved pro stock. He was a super fan of Bob Glidden. He grew up in the same area that Bob did. So there was all this stuff. And I'm like, I like this guy. So we hired him. He started driving trucks for us. He worked on Jeg's team. He's been on TJ's team ever since TJ came to race for us. And the way this all came about was like, this is a dream of his and he wanted to go after it. And so myself, TJ, Jeg, we all like helped him with driving techniques and coaching and whatnot. And he does a lot of the tire burning in for us. We have a tire car that we take to like Ardmore or Tulsa or Noble, and we go burn in tires, and he's always behind the wheel. And anyway, I'm talking forever, but he has a bracket car that's a clutch car with a 5-speed Liberty. So he has some experience with a clutch car. It's not like he's just getting in this race car that he's never done anything with before. And he went out there, his first burnout, he freaking nailed it. I was like, there's this video and he's like, my favorite part of this burnout is me screaming in the car because you can hear him over the motor, and Erica Enders nodding her head yes, like I nailed it. He's like, that like was it for me. So he does better burnouts than a lot of pro stock drivers that have been racing for years. And he went out there and he did a tremendous job. I was so proud of him. I take a lot of pride in him and how far he's come as a driver, and go out there and qualify when other teams didn't. And we had to race first round, unfortunately, but he told me before that, he's like, I've never looked so forward to getting my ass kicked first round in my entire life. He's like, this is awesome. And you can hear him in the car. He's like, woo, woo. woo, so I'm super proud of him. And, I told him, don't be nervous, like go out there and don't think this is your only chance. Tell yourself that this is just the beginning. This is going to lead you to more opportunities. Because if you put all that added pressure on yourself, I remember my first time rolling around the corner in Pomona and seeing all the fans and the TV cameras and people up there watching you and all those eyeballs, and then like the nerves associated with that. So trying to get that out of your system is pretty challenging. So I just tried to give him a different perspective, and he nailed it. He drove tremendously, and I'm really proud of him.
Wow, that's great. What I can see through that is, first of all, it's really a rare honor to be able to drive a pro stock car, considering all the drag racers out there in the world, building their own cars, building what they want. But to drive a competitive NHRA legal pro stock car is rare deal. And he loves it so much. He was in the autograph session out there in the Top Eliminator Club, and we had a little fun with him. He did a good job with the interview part of it as well. I really do hope that the people that get the opportunity are people that have that much love for what they're doing, beyond being able to afford it. That's good too. But then you crushed his dream. That's fine.
I'm sorry.
That's all right. You got to do that. You got to do that. All right.
A lot of people crushed mine along the way, and I hated that round too, but you got to do what you got to do, right?
What you said about not making too big a deal of the moment, because then you will become nervous, you'll tighten up and mess up. Yep. They talked to me during the TV show, the Fox Sports 1 show. They were like, Joe, you're doing great, but we can tell you're trying to be perfect, and it's better to not try to be perfect. You're good. You're here. We like you. We got you. This is not like we're going to open the trap door under you and send you down into the alligator pit. You will be fine. And I was like, oh, okay.
Kind of lets you take a deep breath.
It helps so much. And that works, being the reason I bring that up for everybody out there watching on X and YouTube, and hopefully you're subscribing and you're loving the show. That will work for whatever you're trying to accomplish as well. It's not just racing. It will work for whatever you want to accomplish. All right. So you won the Gatornationals, but now we're headed to Pomona, In-N-Out Burger Pomona drag strip. This, the West Coast opener. You were just here, won the championship. Let's preview this race a little bit. It's going to be cold. Not going to be cool. It's going to be cold. Erica gave me a weather report, said something like high of 61 on Saturday, high of 65 on Sunday.
Yeah, low in the 40s. It's going to be chilly.
Yeah, but that means cars will go very fast. Some rules changes in Pro Stock as well, in the manifold and everything. So just give me your Pomona outlook.
I'm looking forward to it. I feel like we got off to a good start. I know that it's not exactly smiled upon to talk about the Pro Superstar race, but we had an absolute blast there. I worked behind the scenes with Richard and the Pro Board to help get it all together, and Courtney and the team at Flow, and it went off without a hitch. The weather was perfect. The stands were packed. And then the icing on the cake was we were able to go out there and secure that victory. Headed to Gainesville, qualified on the pole, won there. So all things are going great, Joe. I'm looking forward to Pomona. The fans are always awesome out there. They stack the stands, and it's downhill track. It's going to be cool, a little damp, but Friday is that cool, dry air. So I wish we had 2 runs on Friday, because I think that you would see, people go out there and make a run and then come back Friday night and really, really go for it. But with just 1 run and wanting to get in the show, you'll have to kind of balance that fine line. But it's going to be fun. It's going to be fast. And I'm definitely excited about it. Rule changes that you mentioned was already in the rule book. Nothing could be inside the manifold, no diffusers, but now it's being implemented. So that's good that we'll all have to operate under the same rules, which wasn't quite happening. So we're excited about that part, because it's hard to keep up when you do things right and others do not. So we're off to a great start. I think all things positive. We're looking forward to it. Everything here at Elite Motorsports is going great. It's a really pretty day here in Oklahoma. We're selling trucks and trailers. As I mentioned, the guys left yesterday. We have this new command center that we bought off of Force, and we sent to NRC and got the inside redone. So you'll have to come check that out. But it's where we have like all our sponsor meetings and whatnot, and kind of gives you a cool place to hang out in between rounds. So those guys left on Monday, and the rest of them left yesterday. And here we go.
That's exciting. All right. So regarding the pro race, we talked a lot about the pro race, and I'm wondering, I get people were wondering what was going to happen. And now that it happened, I was changing my fuel pump so I could go racing Super Street in Orlando. And so I enjoyed the stream, and I missed being there, but I really learned a lot from watching a different presentation, right? Like there's always something to learn, and I learned. But here's what I think the after effect might be. Maybe I'm wrong, but the after effect might be that I think that everybody that was involved took responsibility for promotion of it, and because it was their deal, if that makes sense to you. Like from my outside perspective, for people who know, I work for NHRA, but I'm a contractor. The thing you need to promote is WFO Radio, Joe, but NHRA promotes NHRA races, and we race at the races is one thing. What I've noticed is at that race, everybody realized that they had to promote that race because it was their thing. They were responsible. There's no like mothership promoting it. It was just on the backs. And that maybe has carried over into the rest of the season. Like the way I'm seeing the drivers, Tasca is doing a good job. Like continue promoting every event the way they promoted the pro event, like it's their own, which it really kind of is. That's what I'm noticing. Am I wrong? Do you notice that? Is that part of it? Do you feel that?
Yeah, I definitely do. I think you're very accurate. All of the people that work behind the scenes, the guys on the pro board, Michelle Domagala, Chad Head, Woody, Richard, all of them. And then the team at Flow, like it was everybody had to pull their own weight to make this thing go off. And NHRA does a great job at putting on events. And when we show up, like that's kind of like all behind the scenes, and everybody that races kind of just does their thing, and that's all taken care of. So when we had to take care of everything and race, I think it means more to you, and you take a lot of pride in it. And then on the other side of it, you also appreciate the work that goes into it on the back end that you might not have necessarily like paid attention to before you had to do it yourself. And then on the funding raising side of it, that's always a huge challenge. And Richard was responsible for a lot of that. But to have all of the pro drivers come together and swim in the same direction, everybody tends to have a personal agenda. And this was a different atmosphere because we all pulled our weight and we all swam in the same direction. It wasn't like herding cats. So it was definitely really cool. We all took a lot of pride in it. We lucked out that the good Lord gave us great weather, but it's not NHRA versus pro. Like this is something like we didn't want to draw a line in the sand, and they know that. And we've met with them 1,000 million times, but you don't have to be sick to get better. Like you can treat your people great. Like one thing that we did at the Pro Superstar race that was so awesome is we brought in TPI, which is Wendy Tysinger, and her dad grew up racing stock and super stock, and she like caters the Super Bowl. That's how big her company is. So we brought them out and we fed every driver, spouse, team member, guest, whatever, from the day they got on property Wednesday. We fed them lunch and dinner Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. And it was just kind of like this huge team camaraderie type thing. And we take care of the people that take care of us. So again, don't have to be sick to get better, and we can all work together to make the sport that we all love even better. So
yeah, I agree here. And I look forward to seeing that throughout the season, right? Like to see that continue. And
Me
that's
too.
where we'll really get somewhere. All right. I want your comment before I let you go on something that I know is it's a big deal tonight. You are a drag racer who happens to be a woman. You've also happened to be one of the most successful of all time. But Shirley Muldowney has been, in and around your career. We all love Shirley. Tonight is the night. For those that don't know, 7 p.m. Eastern time, Fox Sports 1, the big documentary about Shirley. And because of it, like some different stats got sent out, like you're closing in on 50 wins. You're closing in on 50 wins. Just to think about all the people who have no idea about Shirley at all. Like it seems alien to you and I, but there are a lot, and they could learn a lot from the documentary. I don't expect you've seen it just yet, but I'm recommending my audience watches. It will probably be illuminating to everyone how this trail got blazed.
I think it will be awesome for everyone to watch. If you haven't watched Heart Like a Wheel, you definitely should. But, being a woman in drag racing, I've always known who Shirley Muldowney was. But I find like out in the real world, even people that don't watch drag racing and they ask what you do for a living and you tell them and they're like, oh, like Shirley Muldowney. So people know the name and they know that she was a pioneer and the queen of the sport and the one that paved the way for all of the girls like me and Angie and Alexis and Leah and Brittany and whoever else. Like it just, she is the it girl. And to know what we kind of deal with on a way lesser level these days, think about what she went through in the 70s and 80s when it wasn't okay for women to do the same thing as men. And she has this like persona about her. She's a tough lady and she's tenacious and she's badass and awesome and very tough and will chew you out in a heartbeat if she doesn't agree with what you say. But like she's it. And she's the reason why we're all here doing what we get to do. So definitely tune in and watch it. We got to play a small part in it with Women in Motorsports North America. Miss Cindy, who runs that program, along with Lynn St. James, wanted to put this documentary together. And we finished up the commentating part at PRI this last fall. So I'm super stoked to see it. They had a preview of it in Gainesville. Unfortunately, we weren't able to make it because of sponsor commitments. But super stoked for Shirley. She is... I remember in Indy 2015, we tied her with 18 wins, and she had 18 national event wins and 3 world championships. And to be able to tie my childhood hero was super significant to me. And it's a race that I'll never forget. And then to go on and pass on Gel and be closing in. If we can win in Pomona this weekend, it would be number 50 for us. So anyway, all of that was made possible by the lady that will be featured tonight. So definitely tune in if you have the opportunity.
Exactly. And you're going to have 50 a couple of times because there's the 50, including the Lucas Oil Series win, Super Gas, and then there's the 50 without. So it's going to be like the era of Erica winning 50. We're going to do it a couple of times. Erica, can't wait to see you out there in Pomona, In-N-Out Burger, Pomona Drag Strip, the Lucas Oil Winter Nationals, Race 2 of the Mission Foods Series. Super excited. Great interview. Really appreciate you. And I know we're going to do this a lot this year. So I'm excited about it.
Well, I hope so. I didn't get to talk to you much last year. I was telling my sister that just last night on the phone. So looking forward to talking to you a bunch. Obviously, see you at the races every week. And let's go.
Let's go. Let's do it. Alrighty. Talk to you later.
Thanks, Joe.
There she goes, Erica Enders with us here on WFO Radio. Hey, folks, if you love Pro Stock, post this somewhere. Erica Enders. What's she really like? What does she really think? Fortunately, we talk to her a lot here on WFO Radio, and I would love for you to subscribe right down there. Click the bell. Those of you watching on YouTube, if you're on X, we appreciate you greatly. Our next guest, the What No Way guy, it's really interesting. His name is Shaun. He's really interesting because he came to the track, and, now we can't get rid of him. I don't know if that's exactly true, but he's building a project car. We're going to talk all about that. Before we do that, though, I would like to tell everybody that you can now watch WFO Radio on PowerTube TV. This is on Roku, and they're building apps for Amazon and Samsung and all of these things. But PowerTube TV is another place to find WFO Radio. We're on YouTube. We're on Facebook. We're on X. We have our website, WFORadio.com. Subscribe wherever you can to stay up with the show, really. Alan Reinhart yesterday was amazing. The big drag race bracket bonanza battle was something. The fact that I had won when I was told that I had lost was really very difficult for me to understand, but I'll take it. And if you would like to join the Drag Race Bracket Bonanza League for WFO Radio, go to dragracebracketbonanza.com, and it's really easy. You sign up for free, and then you search out our league, and I'm going to drop the code in the comment section right now so you can fill out your brackets during race day and predict Erica Enders to win. And for those of you that are listening to our audio-only podcast on Apple or Spotify, it's number 4, capital B, number 5, lowercase C-O, capital J-D-W. And you're in just like that. And speaking of just like that, let's bring in our next guest, the What No Way guy. What's up, Shaun?
Joe.
How are you?
What? No way. I'm good.
Dude, you've got a shtick. Like, that's a shtick if I ever heard one. And it's awesome. Yeah. I was watching your stuff just last night, the salt and the coffee. Who
Yeah.
knew?
Yeah, who knew, right? I'm not a big coffee drinker, like unless there's a whole bunch of cream in it, but I tried it out and it took the bitterness away. So yeah, I guess if I don't have cream, I'll just throw a little salt in there.
How on earth? So this is going to be a multifaceted interview, right? Because we see you from your social. That's where we met. NHRA invited you out as a social media influencer who is a car guy in the hot rod culture. You like it, but what was your NHRA drag racing fandom, knowledge, understanding prior to coming out to the event last year?
So when I was a little kid, I'd go to the track with my uncle and my grandpa. They sponsored one of the sleds that would go down the asphalt, and yeah, that kind of always stuck with me. And I mean, my experience of racing is just street racing, right? So you turn 16, you get your license, and you do some racing. And I don't recommend that to anyone. It's not the
Good answer.
greatest thing.
Hey, we've got him tuned up already.
Yeah. Wow.
Illegal street racing.
Yeah. But yeah, like I mean, I watched on TV, and my opinion of drag racing was they just go straight. How hard could it be? And so NHRA used one of my what no ways, and so then we got talking, and they brought me out to Seattle, and it was very eye-opening for me. Like I had no idea. They put me on the start line, and you watch those cars, they're all like this down the track, like all top fuel stuff, like they're really driving them. Pro stock, I mean, I had no idea about pro stock until I went to Frank's, and I mean, they're on the verge of liftoff the whole way down the track. So yeah, that like I've really had no idea what drag racing was all about till we went to it. And I mean, the opinion changed after the first time we watched it live. So
well, and that's our challenge, right? There's a lot of people in the car culture who like to work on a car, have got a little hot rod, go to Cars and Coffee, hang out at a car show, talk about their Camaro, Mustang, or Challenger, and the concept of drag racing, it's maybe on another planet for them a little bit. But if they come out, they find hopefully what you have found. And you've kind of been adopted by the teams. It's been pretty interesting because you have your own social media following. People at the track were learning about you just as much as you were learning about them, kind of a celebrity out there. How did this What No Way deal get started? I understand you started out on TikTok, but now you're on everywhere. You're on X, you post your content, and explain like how it got started. Cause you're kind of, I don't want to say a myth buster, but you try things.
So yeah, we kind of got started during COVID. We were bored and we watched everything there was to watch on TV. So, I mean, we couldn't do anything else. So I downloaded TikTok and I started making videos with my business, and me and my wife actually made a bet to see who could get the most followers, and I won that bet. But so the whole What No Way thing, I've been saying that for years. It's not something I just made up for TikTok. And I did a reaction video on using a wrench on a screwdriver, and it kind of blew up. Like, I mean, a couple million views, and I was like, wow, that's crazy. So I tried another one, and it blew up as well. So then I had this other account. It was called the It's Just Money Car, of me working on my Chevelle. And I mean, I had 100 followers, I think, on it when I switched it over to, that one there. And I switched it over to What No Way and started posting my reaction videos, and it just blew up. I mean, I couldn't believe you'd wake up in the morning and you got 100,000 new followers, and it happened so fast. And it was really overwhelming how fast it happened. And then, yeah, like people recognizing you everywhere. And we go out to Seattle to the races, and Nikki tells us, oh yeah, all the teams want to meet you. And I'm like all these like top fuel guys and like all the pros, everyone wants to meet you. And I was like, this is crazy that people know me. Like it's still like, I got to pinch myself every now and then. It's weird.
Yeah, but it's good though. And it's happening because you have an entertaining reaction. In the end, it's about the character of the person. There's all kinds of TikTok stuff, but for like the crew guys that work in the NHRA, they have fun. They'll have some beverages after hours, but these are no BS people. They work their freaking fingers to the bone hour after hour. And they can see that you're hands-on, right? Like you're a hands-on guy and you're actually doing it and you have some genuine reactions.
Yeah.
So you went to Frank Hawley's school, like the hook was set. And Frank is a big sponsor here on WFO Radio, one of our very first sponsors, going back over 10 years, going to 15 years now. Pretty amazing. Frank and Lana Hawley have supported WFO Radio. They are amazing people, and they are solving a problem. One of the problems is, just going to the track is one challenge, right? But then this is the sport that not only can you watch, but you can participate if you want to. You can't go race NASCAR. You cannot go race Formula One. You're not going to go play NFL, MLB, basketball. Like you could go to the park, but to win money in a contest, to run for points, divisional points, track championship, division championship, get on national dragster. Like you can't do that, right? In NHRA, you can. And we want people to know that. We want them to build a car. We want them to drive. So how'd you get hooked up with Frank? You got your super comp license, and I want to hear about the experience.
So after Seattle, I really got looking. I'm like, well, how do I get into this? How do I do it? And Frank's really quickly became added to the bucket list, pretty much right after Seattle. And it was probably 2 weeks before Gainesville. I got a phone call from NHRA, and they said that they had talked to Frank's and they teamed up. So NHRA and Frank's teamed up, and they wanted to put me through school, and seeing that I was building this car and that I would need a license. So, I mean, Frank's was kind of something I was going to have to do anyways, once I was on the track with the car, whether I'd have to get a license, but to do things properly. I mean, it's not just about getting a license at Frank's. It's learning how to stage a car. And that's a big thing. I've never staged a car before. So getting on the track, doing the burnout, pulling up, making sure you're straight. There's so much that goes into it that you can't see from the stands. You can't see from TV. It's just wild.
Yeah. And that's, again, we have to continuously communicate those things. This is a precision thing. You don't just slam it in the beams. And to have Frank guide you through the process, that's another element that I wish we could explain, like how good he is at that task of breaking down what goes on in the cockpit of the race car, how you're supposed to think about it. And I haven't been through. I would love to go through, but I've had a lot of conversations with Frank. But I would love to do that. But look at this guy. pretty happy.
I was overwhelmed because I did the super comp class, and then being that my car is a door car, I needed the class B along with that. So at the end of the second day, they had some time, so I hopped in the super gas car, and I mean, that was a different beast in itself because you have the line lock. And so I sat there for a few minutes just going through the whole procedure, because I mean, Frank's a super nice guy, but he lets you know when you mess up, right? So I was just trying my hardest not to screw something up, and the guys that they have working there are great too, and helping you. Like the first time I let go of the button on the super comp car, I lifted my foot. And Frank said that he's like, 90% of you are going to lift your foot when you let go of the button. And I did that. And so I talked to the guy as he was strapping me in, and I said, I lifted my foot last time. And he's like, push your butt to the back of the seat and as hard as you can. He's like, you won't break the pedal. He's like, that's the best way to do it. And so I did that. And after that, it started getting easier and easier just to go like that. Right.
You didn't have to admit that, Shaun. Thank you. You didn't have to admit that. Happens to everybody. First time I got in any kind of a fast car that gets traction. That's what it is. It's like, and it hooks up. Nobody's prepared for that. Your street car is going to blow the tires off. This thing is going to hook. And you
Well,
have
that
experience.
that was one of the big things. Like I had never been in anything that pulled that hard. So like they told me when you hit or let go of the button, tuck your chin. And I wasn't tucking my chin enough, and I was back in the seat looking down my nose for the first 200 feet. But yeah, after the first run and you feel what it's like, and you're not as surprised by it definitely got easier. But I mean, those cars are pulling the whole quarter mile. So I mean, you're back in the seat, and yeah, it's just wild.
All right. So you got a great experience because you've got your own Chevelle. We're going to talk a little bit about that. I'm building the car. You're building the car. We're going to talk about our cars. Hopefully everybody out there watching is into cars, and we'll share the show and retweet and all that stuff down there, because we're trying to build the sport of drag racing by building WFO. But are you a door slammer guy or a dragster guy? Now that you've had the experience in both, what's up? What say you?
This is the hardest question I've had from this experience, is people asking me, because they know I did both. And for me, the dragster, it was completely different, obviously, from the door car, because you have the wind hitting you, you're 3 inches off the ground. But I love my door car, like my Chevelle. So I think I would have to choose the door car, because it's more what I'm building. It's and yeah, I think it went the speed that I'm trying to get my Chevelle to go. So it was to experience what I'm trying to build. So I think I enjoyed the door car.
You're the door slammer guy. Yeah, door slammer guy. Now, I recently drove a dragster as well. Jimmy Stahl, one of our Super Comp racers, invited me to upgrade my license from Super Comp to Top Dragster. And nice. I had achieved my Super Comp license in like 2002. I owned a dragster for a little while. I actually have a photograph of it, handy dandy, right? Like, once upon a time, I was a real racer. I owned this car, and I got my 7-second ET slip back then, and I got my Super Comp license, and I will keep it forever just in case someone wants me to drive their car at some point. And I was able to take advantage of it. So I went 769 at 184. I understand you went what, 812?
Yeah, so 812 at 162.
All right, so like within the same range. Okay. Yeah. What do you think about the fact that Antron Brown and Steve Torrance and these guys are going like 150 miles an hour faster than you went in 320 less feet? Like, can your brain make sense of that? Mine can't.
I tried making sense of it. I thought about that over and over. And like, even after running the super gas car and the funny car guys, and I was like after I went the full quarter mile and trying to get slowed down to where they were turning off with their top fuel stuff. And I'm like, holy crap, like I'm on the brakes, and like they were going way faster than me. And it's hard to fathom the speeds that they're going. I don't know what goes on in their head. But one thing I did notice while I was doing the class, as I went further and further down the track, my mind started to slow everything down. And that was something I seen when I went to Seattle. The first few runs, it was just a blur. You couldn't see nothing. But then after you watch it enough, and especially do it, your mind slows things down, and you kind of tunnel into what you're doing. And yeah, like by the time we hit the quarter mile, I was watching the whole way down, and it almost seemed like forever, like when it slows down.
Well,
if that makes sense, I don't know.
These guys say it over and over again, right? Like, it's one of those things that you have to have the experience, and then you realize, but your brain does slow down. My first 760 run, I was like, oh my gosh, this thing's out in front of me. I was like, wait, I got it. Okay, I got it. No, I'm good. I'm good. But boy, I got it. And then the second run, I felt much more normal, like I had it. And I know if I make 5, 6, 10 more runs, 20 more runs at that speed, it will become normal. Because those super comp guys, Gary Stinnett is a 4-time champ. I don't know if you know Gary or met him, but he's like, and now imagine at that speed coming up on another car, knowing you're getting to the finish line a little too quick and having to rip the throttle and close the top end margin to 5,000ths of a second at the stripe so you don't break out, so you can win. So your 8-hour tow isn't for nothing and you don't lose the world championship. And I'm like, just my brain is scrambled. Like that's, and we just send them two more, you know, running the race, that kind of deal. It's one of the big misconceptions of our sport, but this is how you do it.
Well, I have a whole new respect for these drivers, like the things that they're doing, especially what you were talking about, and having to lift to not break or break out or whatever it's called. But
break out.
I got a whole new respect for these guys. It's wild.
It is wild. Like top end driving, it adds an element. And that's why, like Shaun Langdon, Erica Anders, all these really great drivers, they, many of them, not all of them, but many of them spent some time doing that. All right. So what, like Steven wants to know, when you're coming to the U.S. Nationals, what races are we going to see you at before we talk about your build project?
I'm not 100% sure. Our schedule is slammed. Like we have a pile of stuff that we're doing this year, but we're hoping to hit Brainerd. Yes, the U.S. Nationals, trying to get there. I think we were talking about Chicago possibly. There's a possibility we might make Vegas here, and I'm not sure. I got to convince my wife, and because we're both kind of getting hooked on it here. And if we can find a babysitter, but the kids love it too. So I'm definitely, if we can take the kids, we will. It's just an awesome experience. Yeah, there's two of my boys, so they were pretty excited to see Dad in the dragster. So.
Well, and that's the thing. It's not only a great and fun experience, but it's a great community to bring kids around and all of that. There's actually a question for you. Derek wants to know, like, what is the biggest misconception about drag racing, in your opinion, Shaun? Like, you know, that people that you deal with that are not knowledgeable, like, what is the misconception that people have about drag racing?
I think the biggest one is that it's just it's straight line drag, like straight line, that you just have to point it and go. And I mean, you got to drive the car down the track. And I mean, maybe if you're running a little bit slower, it is easier without the tires spin and stuff like that. But like those pro guys, like they're driving, and the stuff they have to do in the car that you don't see, like the pro stock is just wild. They're shifting too. So I can't even imagine trying to go 250 or whatever mile an hour plus shifting. And I think that's the biggest one, is that it's not just point it and go. Like they have to drive through it.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's, again, we're going to do a better job. We're all going to do a better job. The drivers are going to do a better job. It's partly their fault, Shaun, honestly, because they've normalized it in their mind and like explaining to us like little babies that can't possibly understand, but we can't. We are little babies. We can't.
Yeah. They make it look so easy. And like, especially talking to Frank and stuff. And he's like, so imagine everything you just did, pulling up, doing your burnout, and backing up and then staging. And because we had all the time in the world doing it at Frank's school,
right?
But pull up there, so as soon as you pre-stage and then stage, you got a second to get the button pushed and foot off the brake and revved up and ready to go. Like it's very quick once you're actually in a racing situation. So they make it look so easy.
That was my takeaway as well. I ran a little bit in Orlando this year, and because I want to go super street racing in Project Pontiac. Project Pontiac is my build project, and I've always wanted to run super street. And that whole competition, staging up in anger against someone that they're trying to end your race day. They want to load you up, send you home, pack you up, make your kids unhappy. Like that. Whoa, wait a second. This is different. And you don't have a lot of time, and you're on the clock, And the starter, it's competition, like step into the ring. Okay, you guys are going to have to fight now. And it's like, oh, this reality of, man, I've got to fight somebody. Like, here we go. You're not fighting, you're racing, but there's an extra element. Do you want to get that experience?
I'm excited about it. Like once we got this Chevelle built and we shake it down a bit and start getting to the track with it, I'm excited to pull into the box and make its first pass. And I'm sure I'm gonna mess some stuff up, and people might be pissed off at the new guy, but we're hoping to break some hearts with the Chevelle. So, but yeah, it's just I'm planning once it's done and we do some track stuff, I'm gonna sit in my chair and I'm gonna practice everything that I've learned, and so I don't go up to the line and look like an idiot. But
hey, whatever, don't worry about it. Like Erica just said, you can't put too much pressure on yourself. All right, so here's the Chevelle before. Here's the Chevelle
that's
now.
Yeah,
what's going on here? You cut this thing all apart. You got a new rear end. We got slicks. What are we trying to do with this thing? Tell us about this Project Chevelle.
So we kind of had I've wanted to build this car for a while. We bought it during COVID. We didn't think we were going to be doing any derbying or anything like that. So we thought, let's buy a project car. We bought this car running and driving. It had a 307 in it. The previous owner had set it up a little bit for rally or some sort of racing. It had bigger wheel studs. He cut the wheel wells. And so, yeah, I drove it for, I think, 2 weeks, and I pulled the 307 out and put my 355 race engine in. And I drove it for the rest of the summer. And then I had the bright idea that I was going to LS swap it. And so, yeah, it was set up for a 6-liter LS. And then I changed jobs, and the car sat for 2.5 years. And my buddy Rob phoned me one day. He's like, hey, let's get the Chevelle in and get working on it. So we got it back rolling. And then, yeah, so we were at SEMA, and I was talking to one of my YouTube buddies, and he asked if I had any projects. And I said, well, I got the 71 Chevelle that I'm working on. And he's like, well, you should put that on YouTube. So then we kind of got the wheels turning on what we wanted to do with it. And after doing all the drag racing and stuff like that, I was like, let's build some. Everyone says they have a 10-second car. So me, like an idiot, said, let's build a 9-second car.
Of course.
So once you go 9 seconds, it kind of triples the amount of work you got to do on your car. So yeah, that turned into we need an 850 cert cage. We need race seats. Everything is SFI certified, drive shaft hoops. And so we had some companies reach out to us, and I wasn't looking for anything for free. I like companies I talked to at SEMA and PRI, and I said, I'm looking to build this car to do 9 seconds in the quarter, and I want the best stuff on this car. Well, what can we do? And so I've had some help from a few companies, and like Moser with the rear end, Lemons headers. We got Lemons for it. I have some unboxing videos coming up, so I don't want to give away everything, but so yeah, that's kind of where it started. And then being that they don't make any parts for a 4-door Chevelle, I had to build all my frame braces myself. So I kind of looked at what the Chevelle SS frame looked like and mimicked that with my braces, and then did the tube bracing as well. We did a notch on the rear frame as well for bigger tires, and added some frame bracing back there as well.
So you're doing
and
all
those slicks I bought at a garage sale.
Wow.
Well, yeah, everything's all on my own there. So
that's amazing. That's great. Like that's another part of it, right? Like working.
Well, and that's what we're trying to show, that anyone can go racing. With whatever experience you have, with whatever car you have, essentially. Like we had this car, everyone asked me why 4-door. I'm like, because I had it. My kids love the 4-door. I like the 4-door. So I haven't seen, I Googled it and I can't find a 71 4-door built the way we're building this one. So I'm enjoying it. And I've had a lot of people reach out to me and say, you know, that's really cool. Like if I ever do a project, I'm going to refer back to your videos on how you did stuff. And it, like, we're trying to save money by doing all the work ourselves. We will need some help along the way, but everything that I can YouTube and figure out, then I'll do myself.
Well, that's the fun of it. Doing it yourself is the fun of it, of course. All right, Dragster Jeff wants to know where are you going to race? Like, what's the closest track to you? Yes.
So the closest track used to be Calgary, but they closed that one years ago. So now Medicine Hat, Rimby, and Rad Torque up by Edmonton are the 3 closest ones for us. And I have an event in the province, but it starts in Saskatchewan the day after one of the events that we put on here in Vulcan. So I won't be able to get out there and test and in time. So probably be missing Miles Mayhem, but we're looking to, like, the car we'd like to do dragon drives with. So I'm sure it'll be down the States for a couple dragon drives down there.
Nice. Down the States. Yeah. Can't wait. I'm excited. Shaun, appreciate you. You know, we could add a follower maybe for you. Yeah, we're losing him a little bit.
Yeah.
Well, we're wrapping up. I just wanted to thank you for joining us on the show.
Oh, am I breaking up?
A little bit. Just recently.
Okay. Yeah, well, thanks for having me. I really appreciate you bringing me on here. So.
Nope, you've done a great job, and we'll see you at the track. Thank you very much for your support and promotion of NHRA Drag Racing. It's been amazing to see, and can't wait to see your car on the track. It won't be long. Thank you, Shaun. And there he goes, the What Nooo Waaay guy. Everything he said, back to the misconception of people not understanding what's complicated about drag racing. Like, I endorse it all. And as someone who is a storyteller in the sport, like, we have got to do better. We all need to do better. And I think, like, well, how can we do that, right? How can we do that? Because drag racing is expensive and the opportunities go down the track are limited. Like, I have thought that everybody that works in and around drag racing in the media talks about drag racing, is critical of drag racers in situations, should stage up in competition at some point, somewhere, somehow, should take the opportunity to feel the feeling. What is the feeling of knowing that everybody's watching, and if you mess it up, you're an idiot, and you have to leave? And you have to leave. Like, okay, now you have to leave. You don't get to come back. But I like it. Yeah, doesn't matter. You have to leave. Load it up. Take your junk home. Practice up, come back another time. And then it's being broadcast on television. Like, man, what an intense experience. Not everyone has to have that. So Frank Hawley has something called the Dragster Adventure, guys. The Dragster Adventure that gives you the opportunity to do just that. You don't have to get your Super Comp license or Super Gas license. You can just pay a fee. Last I saw, it was $399. They head out to your local track. They travel all around the country, and you drive dragsters. You get to make 3 runs, a half track and 2 full track passes. And it's not quite as quick as the one that Shaun drove or the one that I drove, but it's within your ability. You show up with nothing and you leave with an experience of a lifetime. That's what's amazing. I think it makes a great gift too. You can go to frankhawley.com to find out more information about the Dragster Adventure, but you got to ask about the Dragster Adventure and the Dragster Adventure Challenge. Feeling the feeling. I know it would be very difficult for Frank to bring the Dragster Adventure out there for, like, all the NHRA employees to gain that experience. But I'm like, everyone who works on the TV show, right? Everyone who works, like, do they know Do they know? Like, I know Tony knows, and I know Brian knows, and Bruno knows last year, man. You should have seen Bruno after Kansas last year. He was incredulous. It was and you can understand it. He went on to win the championship, but that's where we're going to grow, is when people get the slightest taste of, oh, that's what this is. It's so much better. Go to frankhawley.com to find out more information about that. And you will, you too can understand, like I do and Shaun does. Let me tell you about the rest of the people who make it possible, but I want your thoughts and opinions right now, guys. Put them in the chat section. And I got a couple of pieces of information I want to share, but I just want to make sure that the people who make my show possible, Total Seal, FTI Performance Transmissions and Torque Converters, the folks at Foggett, for instance, Foggett is a way to support WFO Radio right now. This protects the inside of your racing engine after you've put it away. You put it away for the night or for a week or for a month, and you got to fog it down. You got to fog the inside of that engine to protect your very expensive cylinder finish. Otherwise, microscopic corrosion begins to eat at that cylinder wall finish, and then you lose compression and you lose ring seal. It's just the way it is. Foggett prevents that. Folks at Bernie Speed Shop, CWT Industries, that's balance machines for machine shops, guys. So important. If it rotates, it can be balanced. And the folks at Phillips Connect, plus samtech.edu and Marvin Rodak's Coffee. This is the easy one for everybody out there. If you want to support WFO Radio, just get yourself a pound of coffee from Rodak's. 817-924-6821. Rodakscoffeeandgrills.com in Fort Worth, Texas. Guy is an unbelievable person, loves drag racing, loves supporting drag racing. Buy some coffee from him because it's also the best coffee you're ever going to have. A couple of other things to note. WFO merch is on sale right now. Everybody knows I only promote the merch when it's on sale. Why pay $22 when you can pay $16? And just based on the timing, right? For like this cool Miami Hollywood Speedway t-shirt. Why wait? The link is in the chat section right now. It's like the first thing that pops up. Merch is discounted at this moment. Get yourself a little WFO Radio merch and support the show. Jasmine Salinas, first Top Fuel race this weekend. Tony Stewart running the Gold Mobil 1 50th anniversary scheme this weekend. Hopefully, you are all going to run the Drag Race Bracket Bonanza WFO League. I'm going to drop that link in the chat section one more time. I'm going to read it for the audio-only people. You go to dragracebраcketbonanza.com. You sign up for free, and then all you got to do is fill out the brackets. If you want to enter the WFO Radio League, the code is number 4, capital B, number 5, lowercase C-O, capital J-D-W. Those of you listening audio only, you can rewind as many times as you need, but join our league. Join our league. Those of you who are interested in a little more action, I just got the opening odds from Caesars Sportsbook sent to me, and I'm going to check them out. The thing about WFO Radio, you may recall, we were pioneers on NASCAR radio years ago with Vegas odds. Bob Smith, Tommy Noodles, putting out the odds for NASCAR. And it was very difficult at times. Erica mentions getting hate mail. We got a little hate mail because some people thought that, sports betting was bad. But now, 20 years later, sports betting is everywhere, and the Caesars app is everywhere, and people are putting it out there, and there's many states that we're going to, including Vegas and North Carolina now, I believe, and Arizona, where people can place wagers. And so Bob is making odds for every NHRA race this year, including the 2024 Lucas Oil Winter Nationals. The favorite at plus 310 is Doug Coletta. Steve Torrance, plus 350. Justin Ashley, plus 600. Antron Brown, plus 650. Brittany Force, plus 700. Sean Langdon, even after the win, plus 800. Man, someone could plunk down a little money on Sean Langdon. Tony Stewart, plus 900. Billy Torrance, plus 1,400. If you spend 100, you win 1,400, as I understand it. So that's something to look into if you're interested in that. Maybe you're not interested in that. Let's see what else. Favorite, Funny Car, Matt Hagan, plus 300. Bob Tasca, second, plus 325. Ron Capps, plus 550. These are opening odds. They change as people bet them up. What kind of wagering will happen for NHRA Drag Racing? And now that Caesars is making odds, I don't know whether other places will pick up those odds. But Erica Ender's favorite, plus 140. Greg Anderson, plus 350. Aaron Stanfield, plus 700. Hartford on the board, plus 700 as well. And Dallas Glenn, plus 800. Dallas Glenn, defending race winner, plus 800. I don't know. That could be a pretty good little wager. Now, again, I'm not responsible for your losses. But there are people that believe that it's not a real sport unless you can bet on it. I don't agree with that. But there's a lot of people who believe that. All right, final thought in the comments section. If there's no final thoughts, I'm very eager to get started and head to Pomona. We are going to have ourselves a great time. Of course, the Roland Leong celebration of life going on this weekend. Going to talk to Lindsay about Nitro Style In-N-Out Burger. It's going to be great. Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Erica mentions the one session on Friday. It's going to be tough. There's over 20 pro stockers there. You got to get qualified. And then there's those too fast, too tasty challenges. It's going to be very interesting. Erica versus Greg. Got Doug Coletta versus Steve. Going to be very, very interesting to see how it all plays out. Big thanks to Erica, by the way. Steven, another fine show with two excellent guests. Thank you very much. If you did enjoy the show, we ask you to share the show. How about a retweet or a repost? And we're on YouTube. The one we're really trying to build is our YouTube channel. We're slowly growing every week. We get subscribers. I need to put out some more like that Flying H track video. Went real well. But this is our product. Long form interview shows. It's like a show. It's not a quick video. It's not a clip. It's a show where we go in depth and ask a bunch of questions and learn about these people's personalities and talk a little bit about the good, the bad, and the otherwise. Sometimes there's negativity. But really, should the haters, should they get to have their fun? Or should we freeze them out? I don't know, man. Anybody that wants to get under your skin, they're doing it for a reason. They love it. So, I don't know. I think freezing them out is a good way to do it. Then again, I'll be the first one to make a mistake. Blake says, great show. Good to see you. Thank you so much. Good to see you. Blake hopes Erica wins this weekend. Good luck with Drag Race Bracket Bonanza, Blake. Join the WFO League. Damon says, Nitro Style needs to happen. All right, I've already sent it up the chain, man. Like, you have an idea. There's an idea on WFO Radio. Look, the gentleman who came up with the idea was on Twitter, and we communicated. But if we can push this into reality, if Nitro Style can be part of the In-N-Out Burger legacy, and WFO Radio had something to do with it, I will be pretty happy about that. That would be like a life's accomplishment for me. All right, guys, I'll see you in Pomona. Remember, South Georgia Motorsports Park for Division 2. Hopefully there will be an action. They're dodging rain with Mon Nature, but we'll see you on NHRA.tv in a couple of days. WFO, thanks, Shaun. Thanks, Erica.
Like this show? Want more? Then head to WatchPTTV.com, the new 100% free PowerTube TV streaming network. Home of the best classic and new motorsports racing and build shows on the web.